More Christmas gift ideas. You guys knew that I could not let this one go without a knife idea video, right? Of course. And there's so many different types of knives. There's a knife for every hand. Some of them are funky, some of them are kitschy, some of them are classic, some of them have classic attributes but are modern. Some have wild mechanisms, some have very satisfying fidget factor mechanisms, and I'm just going to touch on a few of them. Check your state and local laws for the legality of some of these knives. Fortunately, here in Indiana, you can carry whatever you want. They don't care. So we're going to start with the automatics. And this is a out the side automatic. It is a Boker right there, Boker Plus 0190. It is a Vox design using Aus-8 steel. The steels, if you're a steel snob, there's a flavor out there for you. If you're not a steel snob but you want something that's just going to retain an edge, just get from a reputable higher end buyer or higher end seller. Boker Plus, they have some really nice steels out there, some nice crucible powdered steels. This isn't one of them, but they do have it. Here's another Boker right here, this itty bitty guy. This is an out the front automatic, teeny tiny, very inexpensive, but really nice. I did have to touch the blade up a little bit, but super action, nice and snappy. You're going to drive your significant other crazy sitting there watching TV, flipping your knife in and out of the positions. This is called a DA, which is a double action. There are single actions out there where you deploy it. After you deploy it, it'll have a pull on the bottom of it to reset the blade and the spring. But you have your inexpensive options right there. You also have your higher end, like this Microtech UTX 85. You see here, this one's in a Tonto. Super great quality knives. Again, you've got that fidget factor and glass breakers on the ends. They have a number of these that can range in the thousands of dollars. This one was nowhere near that. Let's see what we've got as far as steel goes. I am not sure. The 204P, I don't think that's the steel. I'm not seeing the steel written on it anywhere. But at any rate, Microtech and ProTech, two very good knife companies. And I'd also mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of different websites you can go to. There's KnifeWorks, there's DLC Trading, there's Blade HQ, just so many, tons and tons of them. Even Olight. We have the Olight Drever in orange with a black blade. This is a mid-grade steel. I've got a neat serial number on this one. It's 1234. This is a N690 steel, mid-grade, not super expensive. It rides on bearings. It's made by Kaiser. Really nice liner lock knife. There's all different kinds of locking mechanisms. A liner lock is where the locking mechanism is protected by the liners. That's what this is. Then you have your frame lock knives, like this Chris Reeve. This Chris Reeve here is a small Sabenza with the Insingo type blade. I love that blade shape. In fact, you guys will notice a pattern with a lot of these knives. I have that blade shape in them. Chris Reeve knives, they're not cheap, but it's an heirloom knife. It is a knife that you'll be able to pass down for generations. And this is a frame lock. You can see this cutout right here. Well, you can also see it is left-handed. This is one of the real nice things about the higher end companies, is they make handed specific knives. Unlike the Drever here, which all they'd had to do was enable me to put this clip over here. I've never pocket carried this. I do use it, but I've never pocket carried it. It just gets used as a letter opener more or less, or a box opener or something like that. All it takes is a couple more holes so that we can flip those things over. Come on, guys, get with the program. Kaiser does, this made by Kaiser. Kaiser does make ambidextrous pocket clip carry knives, just the Drever doesn't have it. But this particular Chris Reeve has the block off plate instead of the pocket clip. There's a lot of aftermarket stuff out there you can get, like an aftermarket deep carry pocket clip. It does not come with a deep carry. I keep mine in a sheath because if I'm carrying this, I do not want to lose it, so it stays in the bottom of my pocket. Of course, the lanyard just makes it easy for me to snatch it right out of there. So you've got the Chris Reeves. Can't talk about knives without talking about Benchmades. This is the Benchmade I almost say Griptilian. This is the Benchmade bug out with the axis lock. The patent has run out on the axis lock, so a lot of other knife companies are coming out with this same style lock. I have an SOG that has it, but their quality is top notch, customer service is top notch. The aftermarket is out there, and there's a lot of aftermarket out there for these guys. In fact, I don't have it out, but my mini bug out has carbon fiber scales that I got from another company. There's different companies like Flytanium. So if you've already got the knife and you just want to upgrade your scales, go look for scales. That way, it's almost like putting a new knife in your hand. It honestly is. Like, we'll talk about this one here in just a second. Of course, we've got the Concept Knives Mini Corvid. So like a little cleaver. They make a big one, big monster one. This is usually my secondary knife that I keep in my pocket with the lanyard. It usually goes in my pocket watch pocket. And this is the knife that I'll hand somebody if they say, hey, do you have a knife? So I hand them this little guy so that usually my higher end knives aren't running the risk of being abused. This also runs on bearings. Super nice. 3 different ways to open this thing. You can spidey flick it just like that, which using the ferrule, and you got the back flip that you can do, and also the front flip. And I do not have this mastered, but we're going to give it a try. See if we can get this thing to open. There we go. Not the most graceful opening, I know, but you've got that. Slip joints, Spyderco. This is a Spyderco Rhodey. Story about this one: these were initially made because the TSA was going to start allowing blades of a certain length on board planes. That didn't happen, but the knife still happened. So, and you guys can see right here, I got a little oops, and that my Demco 80-20.5 bit me. It was my fault. But at any rate, this particular one, the Rhodey, is made in Italy. They have a bunch of different scale color designs made out of G10. This steel is N690, so it's the same steel as the Drever. Not a super high-end steel, but certainly good enough. That's a good one. Just drop down in your pocket, lanyard hole, put a lanyard on it. Okay, we have our classics, like the Case Rust Lock. I love these Rust Locks. They are a frame lock design, okay, but they have this little tail on the end of them. I just think they're neat, and I've got a couple of these, but my hand's not letting me open it. But nice classic knives by Case. This one just happened to be a display model at my local True Value Hardware that I picked up about 22 years ago. Buck knives. Can't go anywhere without talking about buck knives, right? Well, this right here is the Buck 503, made in USA. Stainless steel, nickel silver bolsters, rosewood handles. Just a beautiful, beautiful knife. Beautiful knife. Your standard lock back, like the Buck 110. This is like its little brother. I think this one's called the Prince or something like that. But standard lock back. When you get into a more modern, you've got the Buck see what this one's. This is the Buck 285. It is a USA made. It's a FRN, fiber reinforced nylon handle. It is a lockback. This is what I would consider your basic knife. Okay? Decent enough steel that it's going to hold an edge for you. You're not going to worry about sticking anybody with it, because it's a very familiar locking mechanism. I wouldn't hesitate at all to hand this to somebody. Most people understand the lockback knives. So this one is a tip down left hand carry only, which is odd. There's no option to put that anywhere else. I'm pinching nerves. It's making my hand shake. I'm resting my arms on the edge of the desk. And we can't talk about knives without talking about Swiss Army knives. Of course, you've got to have a Swiss Army knife. Everybody needs a Swiss Army knife. This one, it just has, very simple, 2 blades. And you can get into Swiss Army knives really inexpensively. I say 2 blades. It has 1 knife blade and then a screwdriver, bottle opener, and wire stripper. And of course, toothpick and tweezers and a little lanyard ring. But you can't talk about knives without talking about a lot of the brands I've got sitting here, right? So this is along the ALOX side, which is our anodized aluminum handles. And this one has 2 knife blades on one side, right there, knife. Then over here, got a pair of scissors. And they are sharp and they are super handy. And this one doubles as a money clip. I find myself carrying this quite a bit. Alright, we've talked about the Benchmades. Let's talk about custom things you can do. This is a Benchmade Mini Freak, and this Mini Freak has been adorned with red accent screws. All the assembly screws are red with the exception of the pivot screw and the lock bar, the axis lock. Red thumb stud and red pocket clip, all aftermarket. So if you've already got the knife and you're just looking for an aftermarket kit like this, Etsy is a good place to go. Flytanium, like I said, there's a number of other companies, Goat, number of other companies that make custom accessories for all brands of knives. Spyderco's, Benchmades, all kinds of different knives. All right. I'm going to talk about older knives. You can collect older knives as well. This is not an older knife. This is a Frost cutlery, modeled similarly to the case knives. Got another case knife right beside it here. Slip joints, just like your grandpa used to carry around in his pocket all the time. This one was, in fact, this one was gifted to me by one of my subscribers. I believe it was Dave, if I'm not mistaken. And then we can get into doing the hunting and pecking and trying to find the old classics. This is a really interesting knife right here, made by Kershaw in collaboration with G&G Hawk. That's Grant and Gavin Hawk. And it is called the ET. And no, it's not the phone home ET. It is external toggle. So if you note here, you can open and close it just by pinching back here. But get your thumb way back there, because if you don't, there have been a number of people over the decades, over the 2007 I think is when this one was made. Yeah, April of 2007, so it's approaching 15 years old, where people have their thumb up too far and it comes up, and yeah buddy, it will cut your thumb and put a nice gash in the end of your thumb, so be careful with it. And it has a reversible clip, so it is set up for left-hand carry. External toggle by G&G Hawk, brought to you by Kershaw with the Snap-on endorsement in Snap-on red. Right beside it is a controversial knife by Quartermaster. They were said to be all USA made, and they weren't, which is no big deal. I just wanted a companion to the ET, the external toggle. But this one works in exactly the same way. And down inside here, it's kind of hard to see. See if we can get it there. get her tilted. Right down in here has the Grant and Gavin Hawk insignia. So, but same thing, just pinch. This one is a pinch monster. All these edges in here, you will pinch your skin, because when they come down and come together, right there, that's a big pinch point right there. But at any rate, just a super neat fidget. This is not the kind of knife that you hand to somebody. Supposedly this one is serial number 123 of 300. Who knows? Like I said, the only reason I got it was because I had the original Kershaw ET. And Boker also made a similar one. It wasn't an external toggle like this. It had a very similar mechanism through that had transparent or translucent scales on it, so you could see the mechanism working. And it used a couple of springs that were just tensioned right along here, which was kind of neat. This one is also capable of backflipping. But again, watch those pinch points. Watch where that thing's moving, because it will bite you. So that pretty much does it. This is the longest one yet, the knife video. But guys, if you're looking for a new pocket knife, or you want to fancy up your existing pocket knife, there's so many options. So many options. Get out there, get to looking, and get yourself a list of pocket knives that you would not mind carrying, and hand them to your significant other. Say, I'd really like this for Christmas. We're not done yet with the Christmas idea videos. We'll get a couple more out, but that'll do for now. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm doing it because I think it's fun. It's fun to collect, in my opinion. You guys already know I collect flashlights, I collect pens, I collect lighters, I collect knives. I collect lots of little itty bitty things that are easy to store. So if you're like me, like-minded, and you like collecting things, maybe something in here's got an idea for you. Appreciate each and every one of you. I promise I'll see you when I see you.